Okay, what we're going to do with this project is about three parts. First, we're going to talk about starting a new project, which we briefly discussed this, I think, on day 1 or 2 of Inventor, but it's imperative in Inventor that you start a new project. So in front of you, you'll see an opening screen with um, the startup with nothing on it. And so we're going to start a new project, but you don't do it in new. You go up here to File and Manage Projects. So you create or edit projects right up here. And we're going to start that. So we're going to start this new one because it says it couldn't find it, obviously, because we haven't done this before. So the project we're going to be working on is a Vise assembly. We're going to be doing assemblies. So this is a Vise assembly for clamping things and holding stuff on a workbench. And so we're going to do a new project, single user project, next. And we're going to go to the file where we're going to put this, so everything will go into the proper location. And since I use a flash drive, I'm going to use the flash drive and put it in this file so that I'm keeping it in the same place, that everything goes into this same place, so it'll easily be found. And I'm going to have a project name. We're going to do this Vise Assembly. So and we want to make sure that the project to be created is going into the Vise Assembly, and we're going to say Finish. And we're going to say Done. So everything we do is going to be in the Vise Assembly. Now I've started some of the parts already for this. So I'm going to show you the base for this vise. And I'm going to open it. So we've got this bench vise that has been created. And it called out for this to be made out of gray cast iron because vices are generally cast. They usually don't machine them or make them that way. They make them as castings. And so what I did is I went in here under the properties, went to physical, and changed it from general or generic to cast iron. So then it put in all the values and everything for mass and area and volume and all those kind of things in cast iron. So that's the base of the vise. And then the other thing that I created was we're going to open, and under the same file, I created a key. And the key is, you'll see in later when we do this, the other part of the jaw has to have a key on it to guide it. And so that's the other part of this that I created. And then there's a handle knob that goes on the handle of the vise, And this is nothing more than an alloy steel. It's got a 1/2 inch deep hole. It's going to have one on either end of the handle that turns to clamp down on this vise. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the other half of the jaw of this vise. So there's a sliding jaw that slides in here and has a face that mates up with this face. The shaft goes through here and is a threaded shaft, and then you'll see later how we do this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new part. And we're going to start the part. Now, before I started, this is all in imperial, so it's all in inches. So I created it, made sure when I started that I was in the correct units before I started, because, as we said, you want to make sure you're in the right units when you start this thing so that everything makes sense. So the next thing I'm going to create here is the movable jaw. And because I created the vise base on this plane, I'm doing it this way, the same way, so that the parts will be consistently the same. So when I put them together, it will make the assembly to go together much easier. And this is nothing more than a 2-inch by 1 3/4 so it's 1.75, and it's 2 inches tall. So I should have a rectangle that looks like this. And I'm going to extrude this both sides, and it's 3.5 deep. And you'll see the method to my madness here again. And I'm going to take that center plane and make it visible, because I'm going to be using it. And then I'm going to, on the bottom, I'm going to extrude another piece coming off the bottom. So I'm going to do this, start my sketch on this plane here, and it brings up that face right there. Now this face is it's 1 3/4 deep, and it's 1 3/4 deep the other way, and it's 1 1/4 wide. So the only measurement I really need is this one here. And that's going to be 1.75. And tab. And this number is going to be, oh, didn't like that because I put in a data point. So this is going to be 1.25. However, it's centered, or needs to be centered. So what I'm going to put in is a dimension from here to here. And as I said, it's 1.25, so it's 1.25 divided by 2, so that it's centered. And I'm going to finish it. And I'm going to extrude it. And I'm going to extrude it 1.75. So now I've got the makings of my jaw that's going to slide. And I've got 2 slots in this, one on this side and one on the other side. So I'm going to make a slot, and I'm going to do my sketch on this face, and I'm going to make a rectangular slot from here to here. And it's 1.75 by 0.1875. So it's 1.75, 0.1875. And this is from here to here is a mere 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to finish this. Now I want to extrude that, but I want it to be a cut, and I want it to be 0.1875 deep. So I've got my slot for a guide slot where the keyway is going to go to guide this. And I'm going to mirror this feature. So I come over here and select that extrusion in this hierarchy over here, in the model hierarchy on the left, and I'm going to mirror it. And so then all I have to do is select the mirror plane, which is there, and say OK. And I've got my slot built for my keyways. And I'm going to save it. And I've got to call it Vise Jaw. Now you notice by calling it Vise each time and relating it to Vise, all the parts come up every time listed, so they're all together. It's kind of a thing that I learned. Was it's an easy way to fix it. Now what I've got going on up here is the same thing I've got on the base over here. I've got this kind of thing going on and this going on over here on this Vise jaw. So the first thing I want to do is I want to start a 2D sketch right here. And 1.375 down from the top and 1 inch from the bottom. So I've got a line down here that I want to put over here to go to here. and I need that to be 1 inch, because that's the ledge where this arc comes down to. And then I need to go down 1.375 from up here. 1.375. That's where my arc is going to start. And I'm going to draw a circle because it just makes it easier. And I need to make it a diameter of 3 because it's a radius of 1.75 from this point right here. So it's imperative that I draw a line from here over to here to intersect, and then trim this, trim this, and then I can keep this and this. Nope. What I need is, okay, this is good here. And I need a line. I need to trim this one. That's what I needed to trim. And then I need to add this line right here. Go, okay. And I should be able to finish this. Then I'm going to extrude this area right here, but we're cutting it away. And we're cutting it through the whole thing. So that gives me my jaw, like on the other side, it gives me the jaw. And the only thing now, I've got to go back and add some material here. And the easiest way to do that is to use this surface here and to draw a circle that is 1.5. I need it right here. And I need it 1.5. So it looks like that. And then I need to trim it like so. And I need to draw a line from here to make sure that I've got a complete surface. And then I'm going to extrude, except I'm going the other direction. And I'm going to do it to the next to this surface so that it looks like that. And I say, okay. And now I need to put a hole in there that's 3/4 of an inch diameter and 1/2 inch deep. So I'm going to, again, start this because I like to put a and that's all I need there, just something to guide me. And I'm going to do a hole. And it's going to be a standard hole, and it's going to be 0.75. And it's going to be a 1/2 inch deep. So it's already there from the last time I did it. And the prescribed depth, now all I got to do is select the position, and it's going to be right. Ooh, got to highlight that. And say OK. And I've got my jaw made. So that's the jaw, and I'm going to save this. And I'm going to come in here to Properties. And I'm going to make this out of gray cast iron as well to match the other one. So I go to cast iron, cast, gray cast iron. That's not it. Iron cast, there we go. Apply, close. And we're going to save this. So now I've got these two parts and the keyways. So I can do a couple different things here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my first assembly as a sub-assembly. And I'm going to say new. And I'm going to make a standard assembly, IAM. Now I'm going to bring in a part. And I'm going to bring in this jaw. And notice it comes in the same orientation that I drew it on the as the model. So now the one thing I'm going to do here is make sure that this plane is the same as the part plane. And it looks like they are, but I'm going to constrain them. So this is the part of the assembly that, and we've got a mate or flush align. And in this case, they're probably going to be a flush align because, and we say OK. So that if we mated them, it would flip the part around. We didn't want to do that. The other thing I want to check is that this plane and this plane are the same. So I want them to be constrained so they're flush, and I'm going to apply. So now we've got this sub-assembly started, and I'm going to add a part to it. So I'm going to add the key. Now I made the key incorrect. I made it that way, but this is easy. I can rotate 90 degrees about the y-axis. So now the key is aligned correctly with the part. And I'm going to say OK. Now I'm going to bring this in, and I want to make sure that this end and this are flush. So I'm going to constrain it so that they're flush and I want to mate cancel. I didn't apply it. That was the problem. So I want to do this. I want to apply it. So now I want to mate it. I want to mate this surface and this surface. And I'm going to apply it. And now it's pretty much constrained. However, I just want to make sure it's going to be mated. That's the one I want. And I want the other surface to be that surface. And I think I got it. Maybe. No, I don't think I did. But that's okay, because I can take this, right click, and I can say free move, and I can move this out, and I can put a constraint on it and say I want to mate this surface, and then that surface, and apply. Now that part is fully constrained, and it's where it's supposed to be as a guide. And the easy way to do this, I could do the same thing on the other side, but why should I do that when I can mirror it, and I can pick the component, and I can pick the mirror plane, and say next. Up. And it did it right there. So now I've got a sub-assembly, and I'm going to save it that way. I'm going to save it and say it's in the right place. Vise, jaw, S, assembly, so that I know that it's the sub-assembly. And it's asking me about these parts, if I want these parts to be included, and I say yes to all and say okay. Now this part can be mated with the main body. So the next thing that we're going to do is mate this to the main body. So the next video will have us mating this to the body and adding a couple more parts.